Hey, good morning, grade 11s. Yes, how are you feeling today? I'm feeling good. All right, today we are going to review what we learned in the last lesson about slopes. And we focused on the topography of South Africa. Now, South Africa's topography can best be described by an escarpment. What is an escarpment? An escarpment is a long, steep slope on the edge of a plateau, right? A long, steep slope on the edge of a plateau. Now, we've also discussed the profile of South Africa's topography. Now, how best can we describe the profile of South Africa's topography, right? South Africa's topography can best be described by the great escarpment rising from the east and lowering down west. And this has an impact on the rivers, the infrastructure, as well as the climate of South Africa. I'm sure you remember that in the last lessons, we discussed the impact that this escarpment has on the rivers. You remember that most rivers are going to be draining down west due to the escarpment. And as we've already mentioned, the escarpment raises from the east and lowers down west. Now, at the same time, we also said that only one single river in South Africa actually drains east, and that is the Limpopo River, which drains into the Indian Ocean. All right, now today I want to focus on the types of slopes. All right, what are the types of slopes? There are four main types of slope. The first type is the concave slope. All right, the concave slope is shaped like an inverted parenthesis. Right, it is shaped like an inverted parenthesis. It forms from exposed intrusions of seal, all right? Forms from exposed intrusions of seal. Now, the second type of slope is the convex slope, all right? Now, it is different from the concave slope, which is shaped like an inverted parenthesis, because the convex slope is shaped like a dome, right? It is dome shaped, all right? Or you can also think about the belly of a pregnant woman. That is the shape of the convex slope, all right? It forms from massive igneous intrusions, all right? The convex slope usually forms from massive, right, igneous intrusions, such as the largest one that you know about, which is the Bartlett, okay? The Bartlett intrusion, the Bartlett intrusion. All right, now the next type of slope is the stepped slope. All right, the stepped slope. The name speaks for itself, right? It is gradual, right? It has different nick points, right? The stepped slope has areas of alternating rock types. Okay, it has areas of alternating rock types. You have areas which have resistance, or rocks which are resistant or highly resistant to erosion, and then you have rocks which are not resistant to erosion. And then along the slope, we are going to have different, right, different breakdowns or gradual points, which we can also refer to them as nick points. All right, you can also refer to them as nick points. The nick point you can think of as you've got a layer of highly resistant rock, and then there is a small cliff right along the edge of that resistant rock, and then it dips. Where it dips, right, the difference between your resistant rock layer and where it meets the next gradual change, that we refer to as a nick point, all right? That we're going to refer to as a nick point. Now, step slopes, they have resistant cliffs, all right? Resistant cliffs and lots of resistant rocks from the gentler slopes, all right? It has lots of resistant rocks from the gentler slopes, all right? And then, sorry, the next type of slope is the cliff, right? The cliff. How best can we describe the cliff? All right. The cliff is formed by a layer of resistant rock standing high from the lower ground. All right? The cliff is formed by a layer of resistant rock standing high from the lower ground. Now, we can have several cliffs along a slope, and that is why I say that you can also find nick points along the slope. What we have this difference, right, of cliffs along a slope, we are going to refer to those as nick points. All right, now I want to discuss the slope elements, all right, the slope elements. If you go to your books on page 168, you will find the four main slope elements, all right? You have the crest, the cliff, the talus, and the pediment plane, right? You have the crest, you have the cliff, you have the talus, and then you have the pediment plane. All right, now what does the crest consist of? The crest is the top of the hill or mountains, and it's made of resistant rocks. All right, now the best way to think about the crest, think about the top of your head, all right? The top of your head, that one we are going to classify it as the crest. However, the crest is not the top of your head, but it is the top of a hill or a mountain. And one particular aspect, it is also made of resistant rocks. All right, now going down from the crest, we have the cliff, all right? Going down from the crest, we have the cliff. Now think about the cliff as your forehead, all right? As your forehead, right? And then the cliff is the face of the hill, all right? The cliff is the face of the hill, and it is also made of resistant rock layers. Down from the cliff, you have the talus slope, okay? Down from the cliff, you have the talus slope, right? The talus slope is made up of eroded rocks, right? It is made up of eroded rocks which originate from the crest and the cliff, right? Made up of eroded rocks where deposits of scree and debris collect from the crest and the cliff, right? We have scree and debris. This is just meant to describe the rocks which break down from the crest and the cliff and then collect in the talus slope. All right, following down from the talus slope, we have the pediment, plane, all right? We have the pediment plane. All right, let us have a look at some of the characteristics of the pediment plane, right? This slope has a low angle, right? It is also a concave slope, all right? And the pediment increases as the slope retreats backwards because of scarp retreat. Now, what I would like you to do, right? I want you to go over to page 170. You will see activity 14.1. What I want you to focus on, I want you to focus on number 6 on page 171. All right, that question says, photograph 14.8 shows part of the escarpment in the Great Karoo near Beaufort West. All right, the sedimentary rock strata in the area consist of sandstones, mudstones, and shales. All right, so now, before you can go on to read the questions, I've already said before, all right, you must first observe the photograph, or observe the diagram, or observe the image, all right? And then also look at the bits of information that you're being given. For example, it says that the sedimentary rock strata consists of sandstones, all right? We already know that sandstone is a sedimentary rock, which is more resistant to erosion than mudstones, as well as shale, which is the least resistant to erosion. Now, let's proceed to look at the questions. 6A, identify the slope elements, all right? Number 1 to 4. Now, what do we refer to as the slope elements? The slope elements, we are talking about the crest, the cliff, the talus, as well as the pediment plane. So in that photograph, you're supposed to identify the numbers 1 to 4 in terms of slope elements. Is 1 a crest? Is 4 a cliff? Right, that is up to you. All right, B, right, 6B says, name and describe the feature shown by the dashed line at 5. All right, I'll give you a clue. I say that despite all the slope elements, there is always a gradual change somewhere. And that gradual change, right, a sudden gradual change has a name, all right? It has a term which we use to refer it to. All right, now 6C says, give 2 characteristics of each of the features identified in question 6, all right? Give 2 characteristics of each. Give 2 of each, right? Let's say, for example, you have identified, right, slope element 3. What are 2 characteristics of slope element 3? Let's say you've also identified 4. What are the characteristics of slope element 4? All right. Thank you for your attention, grade 11s. Enjoy the work, and please stay home and stay safe. Goodbye.